Good afternoon, I'm Colleen Foy, Research Instruction Librarian for Science at the Z. Smith Reynolds Library at Wake Forest University. Welcome to the STEM-LINC webinar, Alternatives to Web of Science, Access is the Spice of Life. Our presenter today is Denice Lewis, Research Instruction Librarian for Engineering and Science at the ZSR Library at Wake Forest University. This webinar is being recorded. We'll hold Q&A till the end of the presentation, but please feel free to add questions to the chat along the way. I'll be monitoring that. And so I will turn it over to Denice.
All right, thank you so much, Colleen. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So basically this afternoon, what I'm planning to cover in the webinar is why this webinar. And then give an overview of Web of Science as well as overview of the lens and then demo the lens for you, as well as Web of Science just to give that comparison. So in terms of why are we doing this Web of Science, this particular webinar, and this is probably one of the only times you'll see me ever do full sentences on an actual slide. But keep in mind, Web of Science is one of the most, it's a popular database in STEM. However, it's a paid subscription, and we know that library budgets are declining in different areas. So for those individuals, research groups, or institutions that are facing dwindling funds or don't have access to Web of Science, we want to make sure that we provide a free alternative that individuals can still use for their research. So when we talk about Web of Science is based on citation research, going back to way back when it was a science citation index, and different indexes were gradually added over the years, like the social science index and things of that nature. If you haven't seen Web of Science has a basic search that you can search from. And you can search like all fields, topic, title, author, publication titles, etc. And then basically combine different phrases to create a Boolean search string. Another way that you can search in Web of Science is using the advanced query builder search that you can access from the basic search. In the advanced query builder search, you can build a search from scratch. So like those individuals who are typically using doing systematic reviews will use the advanced query search builder to combine results. So you can combine searches within Web of Science as well as set an alert on a particular search. So if there's any new article or other resource that fits that criteria, that you'll get an email just to let you know. And when we view the results in Web of Science, it'll show you your search string at the top, as well as give you some keywords if you wanted to add to your particular search string. But over on the left is where we can filter the results. And then in the middle is where you see all of the articles and different resources listed, along with their number of references, and if they have any citations, the number of citations that they have. And in Web of Science, you can filter results in a variety of different ways. Web of Science has quick filters, so if you just wanted to get the highly cited papers, review articles, or even open access articles and a couple of others, you can basically just click there and refine your results. You can also filter your results by the publication year, by the document type, if you just want articles and not any conference proceedings or any meeting abstracts. And then you can also filter your results by particular authors using their research profiles. And there's a lot of other options that you can filter your results in Web of Science. In terms of if you're actually looking at an article, Web of Science has different data that it actually shows. So you'll have the typical article metadata in terms of the title of the article, the author, publication date, an abstract, in particular keywords. But you'll also, on the right-hand side, have that Web of Science specific information. So the number of citations for that particular article, and that the number of citations depends upon the databases or the indexes that you have access to for your particular Web of Science index. And also Web of Science will tell you the times that it's cited and other databases that are included in Web of Science. So if you look to the right, here at Wake Forest, we have access in the Web of Science core collection to the SciELO citation database and ProQuest dissertation and thesis citation index. So we have access to all of those citations, but then it also shows you other databases that we don't have access to in black with the citations from those particular databases. And Web of Science also includes the list of references that are included in the particular article. Additional information, if you scroll down, if you're looking at Web of Science, it'll show you the journal information for that particular article, as well as show you like similar articles, as well as the most recent citations. Then if you scroll all the way to the bottom when you're viewing an article, it'll show you in terms of on the right-hand side, the articles used in Web of Science and which particular Web of Science index or collection that it's included in. And then at the bottom, it'll list those cited references that it just gave a number to at the top. But other key features in Web of Science allows you to analyze not only your search results, but you can analyze those search results either visually in a tree map or a bar chart. And there's multiple categories that you can sort of kind of section off the articles in and just view those particular articles. So like you can select document types. So if you only wanted to review the articles from that particular search, you can select document types and then click on view those records. And then you can also download either the image that Web of Science shows you when you're analyzing the results of the search, or you can even download the text file of the data. So now lens.org is a tool that I've been using for a while. I tried to go back and look at, okay, when did you first start using it? And I noticed that I had created an account for Lens back in 2019. And then I've been sharing, the app with different people, but there was one particular physics student who was looking at the references for a particular article, but that article wasn't included in Web of Science. And he was trying to find other tools that would actually allow him to do like a citation analysis. So even sent him to lens.org with some additional information. But Lens originally started with patent searching back in '98. In terms of where the data comes from for Lens, it's coming from Microsoft Academic, Crossref, PubMed, as well as OpenAlex. The Lens, it's called The Lens, but I'm so used to saying lens.org because it's so quick. But the Lens is a tool basically developed for open access research. It is free to any students, faculty with your .edu email account. You only have to pay for the Lens if you're using it for commercial purposes. So this particular image just shows you a breakdown of how many records are coming from each different source. And even though Microsoft Academic is no longer available as an actual tool that you can use for research, the data still persists. So there are 203 million records from Microsoft Academic, and the next highest is from Crossref, 166 million. But the Lens, if you go to lens.org, there's a box where you can start your search. And that's where you can enter in keywords or even Boolean search string. But you can search patents separately. Scholarly works is where you probably more than likely want to do your research. The second way you can search Lens is by using a structured search. So I actually moved a little bit too quickly. Go back. So if we're looking at Lens, over in the lower right-hand corner where you can enter in your actual search is where it says structured search. So if you were to click on that, that would actually open up and show you all of the articles that the Lens actually has. And then the upper right-hand corner is where you can basically type in your search string. So you can enter a Boolean search string with modifiers. Lens actually has additional ways that you can search. So even when you're there, you can click on edit search or click on down search and edit search, and that'll actually give you a way very similar to Web of Science and other databases where you can select the particular field that you want to search from and enter those particular search terms, and then basically add to the Boolean search string section by section. And even beyond that, if you were to click on query text editor, it'll give you a box very similar to what you find like in IEEE Explorer and some other databases, or you can just start typing in your Boolean search string. And the neat thing with Lens is that if you were to click on the question mark where you could type in the structured search, it'll give you the details with regards to how you can develop your search string. So the Lens actually does allow fuzziness and proximity search as well as range searches in the search string. And then you can also change the language, but even a step further, if you wanted to search for specific fields within the Lens, you can actually go over to field tips and see what the field ID is and how the data is actually structured to be able to search at that minute level. So how you view the results in Lens is it'll have whatever search string that you utilized at the top with how many scholarly works, how many works that are cited by patent of the scholarly works, how many citing patents you have, how many patent citations, how many works are cited by scholars, and the scholarly citations. So it gives you like different, for lack of a better word, lenses to look at the data. But it lists each of the references, the articles, and it gives you that quick metadata, as well as ways to go to the actual article online. But you can also, beyond a list, you can change the view of the data in the Lens just by clicking table to change it more to a table format. And you can even edit and customize the table by clicking on customize at the top. And you'll get like the title, the author, the published date, the journal, and identifiers. So like Lens has its own ID for each reference that's included. And it also includes like the PubMed ID or the Crossref ID and other specific identifiers. But you can also filter your data within Lens. So Lens has flags that you can filter by. You can filter by a date range, or very similarly to Web of Science by the author, the institution, which would be the affiliation of Web of Science. But one neat thing in Lens is you can actually filter by the mesh subject headings, subject, and field of study, whereas Web of Science has its own specific like micro, macro categories that in its own subject categories that you can search by and filter by. In terms of viewing an article, the Lens actually gives you that metadata for the article. It'll show you the number of citations referred to as citing works, the number of references that are included with the article, and then you can click on recommended, and that'll give you like a list of articles that are very similar to the article that you're looking at. One thing with Lens as well as with Word is, not Word, Web of Science. You can actually include articles in a collection and do further analysis with the collection, or save it so that if there are any new articles that fit the criteria for your search, that you're alerted to those new articles. One of the neat thing with lens.org is that it actually includes the Cite AI a bar, or it's not a toolbar, but it's the bar which lists like all the references for an article, supporting citations, contrasting citations, and mentioning citations. So you can actually click on that and it'll take you to the Cite article report. So just to give you a look to what that looks like. So in the Cite article report, if you wanted to deep dive into the citations themselves, it'll actually show you the article. Let me go back because I'm playing with the. No, I went forward. So it'll actually show you all of the citations for that particular article with the sentence or two around that citation. So you can see how people are actually citing the article. It'll show you like the section of the paper where the article is being cited. And if, again, if the citation type itself is supporting, mentioning, contrasting, or if it hasn't been classified. So now here's the neat thing with the lens is the actual analysis. So you can click on list, table, or analysis when you're looking at your search results. And you can see the analysis of the actual search in a variety of different ways. So, and then you can also either take a screen capture of the visualizations. You can even like click on the little edit and annotate the visualizations. So I have an example here. You can annotate the visual analysis that I added, but it'll show you the scholarly works over time. So you can see like the earliest date that there was a particular article or reference written on the particular topic that you're searching for to the latest date. So you can see, is the research increasing over time? Is it actually, you know, a lack of the better word that's coming off the top of my brain, if it's a research area that's still popular. You can see this top institutions by the number of publications in the actual search. In addition, if you scroll down, it'll show you the publication types for that particular search, and it breaks it down to, you know, book, clinical trial, article, clinical study, editorial, etc. You can also see the most active authors. And each of these visualizations, you can actually edit the visualization, change the color, as well as the chart type in certain cases. Another thing that you can see if you scroll down is the top cited scholarly works over time. So it'll basically have the bubbles to represent the number of citations and the article that was most cited in a particular given year. And it indicates if the article is open access or not open access. It'll also do like a word map showing you the top fields of study. So if you wanted to just look at the search results for a particular field of study, you can click on the field of study and be taken to that particular slice of the search results. So like in this case, there are 13,980 articles just in medicine. And then 1,996 in surgery. Last but never least, the last analysis visualization that the lens gives you is it shows you the most active countries that are actually doing the research. So you can see whether research is actually occurring from a global perspective. And if you're looking for a place to publish, it'll show you the top journals from those particular search results. All right, so let's get to a demo and show you what I'm talking about. All right, boom, boom, boom. All right. So I'll show you both just for giggles. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so did the same search in Web of Science that I did in the lens, just to show you a comparison, and let me make this larger. So Web of Science, as I said before, you can see the search results. In this case, there's 8,860. Remember, Web of Science is highly selective in terms of the journals that it includes within the citation indexes. So it typically does not take your newer journals that are published. It takes journals that have, I won't say a high impact factor, but there's a particular calculation that they use in terms of whether or not a journal will be included in the database. So in this particular case, I'm searching for, there's a student that came in for a personal research session that was looking for veterinary devices or medical devices used with animals. So I just basically search for medical instruments and apparatus or prostheses, first part for prosthetics, artificial organs, and veterinary or animal. So you can see that there are the search results, like there's the small animal veterinary surgery, past or present. This is where we're showing you that, the different information you can find for an article. If we go back for the search results, it's at the top where you can click on Analyze the Results in Web of Science. And we can change the results that we're looking at from a visual perspective in a variety of different ways. So we can look at, in this particular case, we're looking at the funding sources, and it's sorted by the number of articles for each particular funder. So the results count, tree map, and I can even change the number of results to increase it. So in this case, the United States Department of Health and Human Services is the most prolific funder for research for this particular search string. But this is where I was telling you can change it from a tree map to a bar chart. And then you can even download the visualization. We click on download, which I did. We're a little slow. So you can save it as a JPEG file or scroll down a little bit further. And you can change this number in terms of the number of funders that it's showing you, and you can download the data in a table. And when you download the data table, you can download it. It downloads as an Excel file, if I'm not mistaken. No, text file. Text file. Now, the one difference that you won't find in the lens that Web of Science does have. So with Web of Science, with the citation report, so it'll show you the citation report for a particular search. And if you were to download that citation report, and that's one of the things that I've done that I can show you. And let me pull that over here. So the citation report in Web of Science, and let me make that larger so you can see it. It'll show you every article that's included in the search results. The one limitation with Web of Science is you can only download 1,000 articles max, whereas with the lens, if you create an account and you're logged in, you can download up to 50,000 articles, which I know most people who are doing systematic reviews will be like, but no. But the one thing that Web of Science does that I haven't found the comparable function in the lens is that it'll break down the number of citations for a particular resource by year. So you can see how many times it's been cited. And let me go back and let me do freeze real quick so you actually see what I'm doing. We'll freeze the top row on the first column. All right. So as we're scrolling over, you can see, like, for a particular article, the actual citation count per year. So if there was some reason why someone needed that information, Web of Science has a really quick way just to download the citation report to get that information, but I haven't found a comparable way for Lens, because when Lens exports the data results, let me pull that up. You can pull, like, download the top cited articles. From the lens, but the only issue is that, did I not? I'll be getting my glasses this evening. Don't talk about me. And let me make this larger so you can see it. So in the lens, the only thing is it just gives you the total number of citations rather than break it down in terms of a time period or limitation. All right, so heading back to Web of Science. So with the citation report with Web of Science, If you scroll down again, it'll give you the articles from the citation report from your actual search with the number of times each of those articles were cited per year. And you can navigate to a previous year if you wanted to see the change. In this particular case, the articles are listed by the number of citations, total citations in order. So just to show you the lens real quick. So here's the lens, the same search. So you see in this case, the lens returned 28,975 articles. So if we go over to analysis, just to show you what I was telling you about, and let me make this just a little bit larger. So like here, you're seeing the scholarly works over time. If you click on that middle area for the settings, you can change it to from a line chart to a multi-line to a bar chart or a stack bar. So if we were to look at it as a multi-line chart, you can see that here are, I hover over, refresh the page, course application error. Now that I'm playing and do a webinar. Oh, that's the lucky bit. All right, so basically, let me go back to analysis. And go ahead and change this back to that multi-line. Oop. Hold on, let me run that search again because that's not the number of. Why are we limited to? Hold on, let me just go back. Oh, years published. That is 1949. Let me remove that. Here we are, back to our 28,000. All right, so here we have our multi-line. One of the things that you can even do is modify in terms of the height. If you wanted to download this data, you could download the graph, the image as a PNG or SVG, or download the data as in JSON or CSV, comma, separated value. And then over here is where you can see the top institutions. So Harvard has 704 publications for this particular search. So it can be a really quick way for graduate students to look at where they may want to apply, just depending on what research is being done in their field. So here's the publication types. Again, you can use the settings to change that even to a heat map if you wanted to. So in this case, you can see that journal articles are the highest number, but there's like 110 news reports, 6 clinical trials. So I'm going to change this back to a pie chart. Then if you're looking at the most active authors, let's get back. You can actually change, again, you can change the actual graph. Like if you want to change it from a bar chart to vertical bar, just to be able to see the names a little bit clearer. And then you can also just click on download to download that information as an image or to download the data. And the same with like the top scholarly works over time, the word map. The countries, you can see that there's 4,659 resources from China, 7,524 from the US. Canada has 1,037. So it's a place where you can see, okay, where's the research being done globally? And then this is, basically the journals, the top journals, just from the number of publications that are included in the search results. And in this case, there's scientific reports has 1,688. You can just hover over Nature 1,332, etc. So if you're looking for that free alternative to Web of Science, I definitely would say that the Lens, aka lens.org, is helpful from that particular perspective. Oh, did want to show you like edit search. You can click on edit search and then edit the search string any way that you wanted to. The only restriction for the Lens in terms of your search string length is 2,000 characters. Yeah, I'll try. But any questions? Comments or things that you would like me to demo further?
We do have at least one question in the chat. I don't know if you want me to go to the chat first, or do you want to answer more questions about the demo?
Oh, so is the data Microsoft Academic still being updated or is it a closed system? You know, I did not check that. You know me, I will go and look. Academic data. Hold on. Does not appear so. Hold on. You know me, I have to manage my the cookies. Yeah. Yep. So it seems like Microsoft Academic is closed as far as from when it ended at the end of 2021. But we will cry later. It'll be okay. It's gonna be all right. No, I can't tell a lie because I first started as a librarian here at Wake in March of 2019, and I'm a fourth career librarian in that. I didn't do that intro for this particular webinar. I just wanted to get to the meat of it. But, you know, after working in industry, working as a chef, and then working academia, and then going back to school and get my MLIS. And so my first couple of years here at Wake, Microsoft Academic was one of the databases that I demoed for individuals during personal research sessions, as well as used in some one-shots. So when I heard that it was ending, I was crushed because there are specific ways that you could search on Microsoft Academic by topic and really get relevant results just using that particular topic search. But yeah. Don't cry. Yeah, but one particular way that I was able to use, I will say this. So if you were wanting to look at just articles from a specific journal, you can actually search by journal title in the Lens. So like I had a physics professor that wanted to look at all of the articles that were included in a particular journal because they were trying to analyze of the individuals that published in the journal. Did they cite other articles? What other articles in the journal did they cite? And I was able to extract that information from the Lens for two separate journals that they were editors for. So there are different ways that you can filter or extract information from the Lens. That's easier than from, you know, like a couple other databases. So it just all depends on what information that you're looking for and what you need. After Google Scholar, the Lens is the next tool in terms of total resources that it has to search from. Probably need to go back and check dimensions.ai. I don't think dimensions.ai surpassed Lens. But yeah.
Denise, I have a question. You mentioned one of the benefits of registering with the Lens relative to like exports, the volume of exports or downloads. What are the other benefits of registering?
Oh, you can save your search. you can also create collections from your search. So like, if you click over here in the upper left-hand corner, well, it says collapse, but, so you can see any saved queries, you can save queries, it'll show you your search history. You can create a collection that you can do further analysis on. So like I created one for veterinary medical devices just to be able to play with it. So like you can, similarly what I did before, show the analysis preview. So rather than having to run the search over and over again, or if you were doing a systematic review and wanted to include articles from different searches in a particular quote unquote folder / collection, you can do that in LINC. And then you can also, like on, for a particular search, you can actually add notes to your search. So if there are any notes that you wanted to take, or if there were like articles that you wanted to add tags to, that's another thing that you can do with LINC if you have an actual account. And then for those faculty who may be analyzing their research productivity, LINC does have it where you can look at, I want to do that. Oh, you can look at your profile, and LINC.org syncs with ORCID. So if you have an ORCID ID, you can sync it with your profile. So you can look at, you know, in terms of like your scholarly works, your OA ratio, your H index. It'll pull in that information from ORCID. So you can be able to see for your particular articles, do you have any citations, et cetera, et cetera. So for faculty on the tenure track, that's something I probably recommend. And there are probably more out there because I primarily usually use LINC for searching for articles, but it does have like a patent search. It has PAT sequence where you can search biological tool sets. Patent citation, including citation analysis, the profiles. LINC Reports is new. It's a beta that just started. If you look at the history of LINC, like let me see an example report. They actually regularly add different features or functionality just to look at how individuals can either improve their research or uncover gaps for innovation. So, research all study information. Okay. Oh, those are the new things. So this is something new. But one of the things I can do, so like just the history of LINC, when you go to about and look at the what is LINC, you can look at the history of the actual app and see what's changed over time. So it was started in 1998 for patents, but if you scroll, it'll show you those key milestones in the development of LINC in the last 27 years. So you can scroll through and see, you know, when it added functionality, what functionality has been added, expanded its patent capabilities, improved. So it was originally called Patent LINC, and now it's just the LINC. And they've gotten funding from different organizations. So like if you go to, we'll scroll over to more recent, it starts giving you the releases just to show you what functionality has been included to the tool and when. And then if they got any additional funding. But it's actually based in, what is it? Frankly, is it Australia or the UK? I always start to get things mixed in terms of Of course, the contact us is just very general. No, Australia, haha! I was right. Yeah, because you start looking at the spelling of certain words on the website and you're like, this isn't, American English. But yeah, so it's based in Australia. Any other questions or anything you want to see demo?
I have one more. The link between Lens and site.ai is automatic. You don't have to register for that. It's not like you have to add a plugin or add in or
Yeah,
anything.
no, here's the fun part. So that's one of the things that site have been trying to do over time is add like that. Because you know how site has a browser extension. They've been trying to look at different apps that they can embed site into. So if you look at a particular article, so I'll look at a perfusion apparatus. This one doesn't have it in site, so it's not included. All right, so let me give it. So you can navigate, like similar to Web of Science, you can navigate back to the search at the top of the screen. Actually, let me find an article. Blah, blah, blah. That's how it works. Let's see. Nope, you don't. So not every article has like that site. Because keep in mind that site does full text analysis of articles where it's able to either get an agreement with the journal or with the publisher of the journal. So not every article, and there really isn't a quick way to see if an article would have like a site research report. Actually, let me do this. Let me do. Let me filter. I'm gonna filter by. Can I filter by what? I want to see if I can filter. If there's a filter that I can look at for.
Okay, it was on the one that you showed earlier in the presentation. I was just curious if it was any extra work to get to that or if it just was
Oh, no,
embedded.
I'll head over to analysis and go to the one showing in terms of the top cited scholarly works over time. That's cool, you. Oh, no, And of course, nope, it doesn't have it either. Oh, no, it does. Okay, really? I will be going to Costco to get my glasses. Tonight, I will be doing that. So it did. So all you need to do is look and see over underneath journal article. Let me make this larger because I know I'm looking at this on my large screen. So underneath journal article, here's the site information. So it's showing you that there's 6,510 citations for this particular article. There are 37 supporting citation, 1,923 mentioning and 2 contrasting. You'll see that this doesn't total up to the number of citations, but it's all dependent on the number of articles that site has actually ingested and analyzed. Which in a lot of cases is less than your total number of citations. So when I clicked on that, that opened up the site report for that particular article. Let me make this larger. So in this case, you can see like the cited by and how many citation statements site actually has. The references in this publications and the number of reference statements. So Site will show you not only who's citing this particular article, but where they're citing it. So in this case, Restricted Site Association DNA sequencing basically cited this particular article in the line, the result is consistent with previous comparative analysis, which indicated that interchromosomal rearrangements are less frequent in telehost fishes than in mammals. So not every article is going to have a direct link to the site report, because again, it depends on which articles are included within sites. But more than likely, it's going to be a high, if the article is open access, site typically has most of the open access articles. And then there's a way that you can look to see which journals are included in site. I'm trying to remember. Bam. So if you click on solution, oh, I forgot to show. So you see this report, but you notice I'm not logged in to site. So it'll take you directly to that article report and site without you having, being logged in. So you can see where that article's being cited, like it's cited 700 times in introduction section, 295 results, the different citation types, the years published, the publication types, if there are any self-citations. But it'll be a real quick way for you to look at how people are citing this particular article and where that research is basically tracing the scholarly communication for that particular topic or other related areas. Any other questions?
All right. Well, thank you, Denise. It's always great hearing your expertise. So yes, I will stop the recording. Thank you so much for your time. And the recording will go out shortly, as soon as we get access to it, and that will be sent out to all participants